Hello and welcome to Investors Hangout. This weekly interaction to help you learn and understand savings and investment issues is brought to you by Aditya Birla Sun Life Mutual Fund and Value Research. Retirement is a time meant to enjoy your days, sleeping in late and probably not doing anything if that's what you wish to do. It's a phase of our life that we want to spend without any worries. And if our expenses are taken care of, a lot of other things start falling in place. So where should you invest your accumulated corpus to generate a regular, dependable stream of income in retirement? We'll tell you all about that in this episode. Stay tuned.
There are three ground rules in my opinion. First is that you should give due emphasis and due consideration to the growth aspect of your retirement corpus. Now, what happens in case of a retirement plan is that there is a lot of focus on generating regular income, but you should not lose sight of growth in your pursuit of income. That's because in long years of retirement, you would need to provide for inflation protection. Let's say if you are able to generate a lakh of rupees as income from your portfolio and that is sufficient for you and you end up consuming entire of those 1 lakh rupees, 5 years down the line that 1 lakh rupees will not be sufficient enough because things would have got costlier. So what that means is that if your retirement portfolio is, let's say, able to generate a return of 7-8% in a year, then you should aim to withdraw only about 4-5% of those returns in a year as income and leave the rest alongside your accumulation so that it is able to generate higher returns in subsequent years. Otherwise, you will start losing out to inflation. That's rule number one. Rule number two is to be conservative with your withdrawal plan, and that's even more important in the initial years of retirement. That's because if you draw down your accumulation very aggressively in the initial years by withdrawing higher sums of money, you may not have enough left to generate returns in the subsequent years and you would run the risk of outliving your retirement corpus. Let me illustrate this with this example. As you can see, if you start with an aggressive withdrawal rate of say 8% and keep increasing it by 5% every year. So what I mean is that let's say this 8% withdrawal amounts to an income of 10,000 per month, and next year you increase it to 10,500 by giving yourself a 5% increment and so on. If you follow this and if you start with such an aggressive withdrawal rate, you run the risk of finishing up with your accumulation in just about 15-17 years. But if you keep it to just about 5% withdrawal rate, you run a great chance of a comfortable inflation-proof retirement income that lasts 30 years or more. So the ground rule 2 is to be conservative with your withdrawal rate. And the third important ground rule is to not get excited, get carried away and start misutilizing your retirement corpus. Now what happens is that at the time of retirement, it is likely that you end up with a sizable accumulation. You would have money flowing in from your EPF, your gratuity, maybe NPS if you've been investing in that. And all of that can accumulate up, aggregate up to an amount which you may not have had at once ever in your lifetime. Now don't let this lead you to a false sense of comfort whereby you start overspending or significantly change your lifestyle. Remember, as we said earlier, that you need to be conservative with your withdrawal plan. This is all the money that you have to survive on for the next 25-30 years or maybe even more. So you need to have a mixed approach where a part of your money is invested in fixed income savings avenues and a part of your money is in equities. See, investing for regular income need not be too complex. The basic premise that you need to follow is that your investments have to be in such a way that they are able to provide a stable, dependable income, but at the same time they are also able to generate adequate returns enough for the corpus to grow at some reasonable pace so that you have some inflation protection in later years of your retirement. And we believe that these kind of outcomes are possible with a portfolio which has say about 30-40% invested in equity and the rest in high quality fixed income alternatives. If you follow this plan and rebalance periodically such that the allocations broadly remain in these ranges and such a portfolio is able to generate returns of say anything between 8.5, 9.5% per annum, which is fairly achievable with this kind of allocation, and you keep your withdrawal rate within those 5% limits per annum as we discussed earlier, we think you are well set for a reasonably worry-free, comfortable, regular income plan in your retirement. there is no one formula, and you can create your retirement income plan with different savings avenues as long as you follow these broad principles. With this 25 lakh rupees accumulation, you should aim to invest about 10 lakh rupees, that's about 40% of your accumulation, in equity instruments, and the remaining 15 lakh in fixed income. Now this 25 lakh in today's terms is a fairly modest allocation, and therefore your income that you derive from it would also be fairly modest. So keeping that 5% rule intact, you should aim to withdraw about 1,25,000 rupees as income in the first year. Here is one of the examples of how you can create this portfolio. As an example, out of this 15 lakh fixed income allocation, you can invest say rupees 12 lakh in senior citizen savings schemes, that's SCSS, and another 3 lakh in short duration funds. The latter have greater flexibility on additional investments and redemptions, and therefore make rebalancing more efficient. And for the equity allocation of rupees 10 lakh, you can go for some conservative equity funds like flexi cap funds, or even a large cap index fund will be good enough for this allocation. Now SCSS is offering a return of 7.4% per annum, which is taxable, but if this is all the income that you have, then it will become tax free. Now once you have invested in this way, you can start by withdrawing rupees 1.25 lakh as income in the first year, and then keep increasing it by 5% every year to provide for inflation. So for your income need, it will be partly provided by the interest that you get from SCSS, and the balance you can create by withdrawing from short duration allocation. Rebalance these investments once in a year, and in case equity markets have run up substantially and therefore their allocation would have run up far higher than this 40%, then bring it back, restore those allocations by redeeming some money from your equity funds and reinvesting in short duration. Likewise, vice versa, in case equity markets have fallen substantially and the equity allocation has dropped substantially from this around about 40% target range, and keep doing that year after year. Now if you would have followed this plan in the last 15 years, this is what your outcomes would have been. So starting with an income of rupees 1.25 lakh 15 years back, it would have increased by 5% every year, and it would be around about 2.6 lakh per annum by now. And despite these withdrawals, your starting corpus of 25 lakh would be worth 65 lakh rupees today, and with 15 years of retired life already behind you. So what you get is the comfort of stable, regular income with adequate growth to keep you inflation protected. Now let me take another example where we replace senior citizen savings scheme with public provident fund, that's PPF, and keep all other things in this illustration same. Now PPF is basically an investment vehicle for accumulation and not for regular income, but for those who have already had this account running for its initial tenure of 15 years, they can subsequently keep extending it for additional blocks of 5 years, and they are also allowed to make partial annual withdrawals for income. So in this way, it can double up as an income vehicle as well. And the 7.1% annual return that it offers is pretty attractive, more so given that it's tax free. So if you would have followed the same plan in the last 15 years, simply by replacing the 12 lakh you had assigned to SCSS with PPF, you would have still got very good outcomes, as you can see on your screen right now. You would have got a same regular income, and despite that you would have still been left with rupees 57 lakh in the balance, with 15 years of retired life already behind. So I believe these are some pretty good outcomes to get.
With that, it's a wrap on this episode. Keep watching this space for more information. If you like the show, do subscribe to our YouTube channel. Take care. Bye for now.